It starts with the fact that mycorrhiza is the main organism in a healthy rhizospheric ecosystem. It takes up the lion's share of the biomass of a healthy rhizospheric ecosystem, and it becomes this underground web that all of the other organisms, all the other microbes, benefit from, primarily just for transportation to get around the soil.
Welcome back to the Soil Talks podcast. Our guest today proved them wrong. Dan Grotsky, of GroundWork BioAG.
Thank you. A pleasure.
For decades, mycorrhizae was expensive niche products, right? Only for really high-valued crops. A lot of people looked at them for cannabis, vineyards, turf. So whenever you're looking at that, mycorrhiza fungi, it's higher up on the food chain, right, of the soil food web. Do you also believe that there has to be good structural or base, microbiology there, meaning bacterias, those lower level first trophic guys there to really help populate then the rhizosphere completely with fungi?
Well, it's an ecosystem play, so yes. Mm-hmm. That being said, what we find more often than not is when we reintroduce mycorrhiza to a cropland that is otherwise devoid of life, if not to say dead. What ends up happening more often than not is the bacteria kind of spring back into play. And it's a beautiful thing to see, because you're literally bringing life back to the soil when you inoculate with mycorrhiza. And that's part of, why we call it the center of the rhizospheric ecosystem. It just happens to be the case that the bacteria are just kind of waiting for this to happen, and they spring back into action pretty quickly.
Can you explain how fungal hyphae extend the root system's reach and why plants are willing to kind of pay for it in sugar, right? Which at the end of the day is carbon. Can you explain that to our audience,
Sure.
if you don't mind?
So it's kind of like having an IV. The fungus will penetrate the plant root and effectively extend it in an underground web. It's actually the largest organism in the world. And not too many people know that, cool. But it's microscopic and you can't see the individual hyphae, but one mycelium can cover an entire field or entire forest, or, that's the way it works. The mycelium, which is the body of the fungus, the collection of these hyphae, or that web that we're talking about, it provides this additional reach to the plant and dramatically improves the nutrient uptake.
Okay.
And that's really where the effects are coming from. And that's why it's so worthwhile for the plant to give a little bit of sugar to the fungus in order to get so much more nutrients.
That's right.
And this is particularly notable with phosphorus, because phosphorus becomes unavailable to the plant relatively quickly after it's applied, and mycorrhiza can really access pretty much any type of phosphorus. So there's no such thing anymore as unavailable phosphorus.
That's right. Mines it, correct? That's basically what it does. It puts out or excretes proper acids, whatever it may be, to break that down and take it into that network and provide it, in essence, then to the plants. But and that's why you're saying, it's willing to pay for it, sugar, carbon, whatever that may be, right? Like, it's like, yeah, you know what? I'm giving you a little bit because you're going to pay me back tenfold. When my roots get bigger and bigger and bigger, I'm going to be getting more and more and more.
Exactly. And what's more is that this whole symbiosis is auto-regulated by the plant. So the plant, we talk about plants as if we kind of animate them. But the plant decides whether or not to inoculate based on its needs and how much sugar to give to the fungus depending on how much nutrients it needs to get in return. If the plant is in a 5-star hotel and it's getting everything it needs and doesn't need more phosphorus, it won't inoculate. It won't give sugar, and no harm done. But as soon as it does, it starts pumping sugar into the fungus. The fungus starts going at it and bringing the nutrients in, and everybody benefits.
Absolutely. And that's, I think, the biggest thing at the end of the day, when you say those plants, they don't always, it's the exudates they put out that feed those funguses, like exactly what you're saying. They feed them exactly what they need when they need them. If they need more phosphorus, it's going to be mined. Yeah, absolutely. And that's the next part about this, the phosphorus crisis. I don't want to say it's crisis, but phosphorus is depleting globally, right? And often gets locked up, which you kind of just talked about. So how does it actually unlock it, though? Like when we get into the nitty gritty of it, right? Like we talked about it a little bit. So is it the exudates? Is it the fungus or the fungi encapsulating it and solubilizing it? What is it exactly then?
You could say so. The fungus can break down particles that are organic molecules that have phosphorus that the plant doesn't know how to break down. A lot of it has to do with changing the pH in the microzone around those particles around in the mycorrhizosphere. But so ultimately, what's happening is that the access to these to the phosphorus is greatly improved.
Absolutely.
And then not only that, it's also mobilized. So once the phosphorus is accessed by the mycorrhiza, it's mobilized into the root. When the mycorrhiza actually resides within the root of the plant, so the endomycorrhiza, which is what we sell, actually penetrates the plant root, and then the nutrients are brought into the root in that manner. So it's really an effective extension of the root.
That's exactly what it is. Just a big root system. Yeah.
Yeah. It's a lot thinner than a root, and it's a lot more effective, and it grows a lot faster. So it can access all of these nutrients that the roots just don't have a chance at finding.
So then would you say that hyphae, that huge roots, the mycorrhizal hyphae that's out there, is basically like an interstate for bacteria dump trucks full of nutrition?
Yeah, I wish I could show you that video. Actually, we have a good video of that of bacteria just running up and down the interstate.
Yeah, is that what it is? That's cool. And it's it's through rhizophagy, and then it gets into the plant and deals with what it has to do.
Highway.
Yeah, no, that's great. Let's talk a little bit too now about climate resilience. Will you explain how the biologicals help, or how mycorrhizal fungi help crops survive the extremes like drought, salinity, pH stress, things like that?
Yeah. So, look, there are a few modes of action here, but the most basic thing is similar to humans. I mean, that's the way I describe it. Once we eat better, more nutritious food, and we have access to more nutrition, we're healthier, we're more productive, we function better in general, we grow faster. Same thing with plants. By making by enabling this access to nutrients, the mycorrhiza gives the plant what it needs to grow a lot better and to withstand stress a lot better. And that's really the main mode of action that's going on here. And so when it comes to water stress, when it comes to salinity, pH, just poor soils, that's when mycorrhiza really kicks in. That's when we see these huge effects. That's when we get great pictures like the one I wanted to put behind me in the video.
Yeah, no, absolutely, absolutely.
But that's really that's where mycorrhiza shines. Is when the going gets tough.
Gotcha. In very arid soils, then would you say just soils that are
Arid
just
soil.
tough, like
Yep.
tough to deal with, hands
Yep.
down,
Yep.
just tough to
That's
deal with.
that's when you get a huge effect. But you know what? Even in good soils, even in good conditions, you're still going to have stress sometimes because it might not rain at the right time. It might not, they're different. And by having that buffer of nutrients, the plant can endure a lot more. In addition, the fungus tends to be more robust than the plant itself. So it itself can withstand, as long as the plant is alive, the fungus will live with it and will, be helping it out. It even, there's even like a communication system between the plant and the fungus where when the fungus is struggling, when the plant, is struggling, when it's under severe stress, it calls out to the fungus, and the fungus starts to sporulate more, so it can actually help the plant more.
Absolutely. Is that quorum sensing?
Is that what?
Quorum sensing?
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, absolutely. And that's the thing is when that quorum sensing happens, it's funny. We talked about that years and years ago, like 2008, and we were like, hey, there's this thing called quorum sensing. People thought we were nuts. And now it's exactly what's happening. It's exactly right, Dan. I mean, it is, it's the plants speaking to the soil, biology, the fungus, everything, and saying, hey, man, like we better, we better giddy up. We better get the troops together. Something's coming, right?
Mm-hmm.
Great. And then I want to find out also from you, how do fungi interact with existing inputs? Like NPK, say there's fungicides, say it's a conventional type of a grower, right? Not organic, but a conventional grower. How do those fungicides deal with, or how do, the fungi deal with like fungicides, NPK, things like that?
Right. So I'll divide this into two. So you've got the chemistry, the NPK, you've got the pesticides, and then you've got all the rest, the biologicals, the whatever bacteria you're putting in, whatever other inputs. So in terms of pesticides, and specifically fungicides, you would think that fungicides would be a big problem, and some of the old, like antiquated fungicides were some of the old systemic fungicides that you can still find sometimes in the developing world. Those can be a problem because they will kill the mycorrhiza, but for the most part, in the developed world, where there are regulations against those fungicides, and there are companies that if you're a pesticide company, if you're a chemical company, you don't want to kill mycorrhiza, you're shooting yourself in the foot. So they went went for narrow band fungicides so that they're not killing the mycorrhiza, and so that works out really well. And so we don't find a lot of compatibility issues for the most part. For that, we have on our website, we have a compatibility tool that you can use to look up any active ingredient, any brand, any pesticide, and to see if it's compatible or not.
Yep.
So
perfect. I see what you're saying. To be able to just really hone in and say, yep, I can use it. No, it's probably not wise. Or if you have to come in 7 days after you spray something and re-inoculate, right? I mean, like if you have to, there's ways around that. All right, let's get into the next section on this, the carbon revolution in soil economics. I know you like this part of it. The carbon pathway. You talked about this a little bit earlier. Mycorrhizae are the main pathway for carbon entering the soil, correct? And could you explain how this works?
Sure. So I'll bring it back to high school for a second. All right, photosynthesis. Okay. So the plant takes CO2 out of the air, sunlight, water, creates sugar, and releases oxygen. Right? That's photosynthesis. The sugar is carbon based. Okay, every sugar is carbon based. The plant will provide up to 20% of that photosynthate, 20% of the sugar that it produced, will give it to the fungus in return for these nutrients that it's getting.
Gotcha.
Okay? That already is a huge influx of carbon into the soil, because now you've got sugar going into the soil, going to the fungus that's in the soil. Okay. So that's already more than the soil respiration typically. And that's where a lot of that's where the carbon sequestration rate gets so high. But what I think is more interesting is that most of the carbon that is drawn down in this manner becomes durable. It becomes mineral-associated organic matter. Okay, mineral-associated organic carbon is durable in the soil for centuries to millennia. Okay, and that's counter to what was previously thought, just 10 years ago.
Absolutely.
And
most people thought, and correct me if I'm wrong, most people thought that a lot of the carbon sequestration came through photosynthesis, things like that, like through it taking it in that way, correct? But what you're saying is really a lot of it comes through the exudates that plant's producing in sugars, and it's a different type of a carbon. Just that's correct, right?
Yeah, you could say it in that way.
Okay.
I'll kind of rephrase it in a little bit I'll take the liberty. While it's the plant that's photosynthesizing the carbon and drawing it down in that manner, it's the fungus that's actually sequestering it in the soil for good. Okay, that's why without mycorrhiza, you're not really seeing that permanent sequestration as much. What you're seeing is a drawdown, but then you're also seeing the soil respiration. Because it's a transient type of carbon. It's mostly in the particulate organic matter, and the particulate organic matter tends to be, at least most of it, is a lot less stable. It's a lot less recalcitrant than the mineral associated organic matter. And mycorrhizal fungi are really one of the only ways that are known today of catalyzing the process of creating mineral associated organic matter. And that's something, previously we thought it took millennia to create mineral associated organic matter. And then, all the focus was on the particulate organic matter. But today we realize that there is a process by which there's a much faster cycle of production of mineral-associated organic carbon. And that is when dissolved organic matter meets exposed clay in the soil, or exposed minerals, they bind. Okay, they form a covalent bond, and you're basically binding biology to geology at that point. That's really where you're getting this very durable carbon sequestration.
Man, that's amazing. And that's kind of also where I guess that kind of leads into your guys' product, which is kind of like the Rutella carbon story, right? I mean, that's right. Really what leads into what's going on there. And if you don't mind, let's discuss the new frontier of carbon credits, right? How can a farmer turn a yield boosting input into a second revenue stream? And that's really what people want to know. Like all this stuff leading up to it is great. Like how it's done, that's right. Like, oh, it's great that it works, and this is why it works and why you should have it. But the reality comes down to is like, at the end of the day, let's find out how farmers get paid. And I think that's where everybody will be really excited to hear.
So we launched the Rutella Carbon Program in 2023. in the United States. After realizing what I just said, okay, realizing that, hey, mycorrhiza, we always knew that mycorrhiza sequestered carbon. We didn't know how permanent it was. We didn't know, and we certainly didn't know how much it was. We didn't know how significant a rate we could get. And so back in 2022, we tried it out to see what we have, and the numbers blew us away. Okay, and we thought, it can't be. These are small trials, whatever. It doesn't make sense. It can't be right. But we said, all right, let's try it again. We tried it again. Again, we got huge numbers. And we're like, all right, there's something going on here. It's probably not this big, but even if it's half of this, even if it's a fifth of this, we have to put together a carbon program for this. And that's what we did. So in 2023, we launched Rutella Carbon. And we did this with the grower in mind, really. I mean, when we say, show me the money, that's exactly what it is. Growers enjoy Rutella. The benefits are there. But it's also high variability. As I said before, it really comes into play when there's some stress. And you don't always have stress. And sometimes you do, sometimes you don't. Sometimes it's better, sometimes it's worse. And growers who are used to chemical products really want a very consistent, make or break product. And biologicals are not. They're not as consistent. They're fussy. They've got attitude, right? And we found that there was a need to add a revenue stream for the growers that is non-correlated with commodity prices. And carbon credits do that, okay? Because if you're sequestering carbon on your soil and you can monetize that through a program like Rutella Carbon, then you can get that extra revenue stream. And we're very generous with the proceeds of the carbon sales. We distribute up to 70% of the net proceeds of the carbon credit sales to the pool of growers that are in the program. We have it set up so that the more you sequester, the more you get on your field, which is pretty unique. And we do this by taking a lot of measurements.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Yeah, like how do you tell like how much are these guys going to get paid out, right? Because I guess that's the question.
Yeah, so we went old school with the measurement system. So we're pulling dirt and a lot of it.
Soil samples.
And we take it to the lab. Yep, soil samples. We take them to the lab and we do dry combustion tests under the most rigorous standards. Okay, so it's all under Vera. So Vera VM42, if you're familiar, and those standards are in place, and not only is it under Vera, there's several quantification approaches under Vera, and ours is what's called measure and remeasure, which means that we maintain control plots and treated plots on the field. We measure every year. We take soil samples from the control plots, from the treated plots in the same locations every year. So the samplers they take their tablet with our app and they have to go to the precise location, take the core out, bring it to the lab, dry combustion. It's all tracked the whole way and all logged in our system. And then we take all of the measurements across all of the fields. This year it'll be north of 500,000 acres that we're doing within the carbon program. And so we take all of those measurements and then we bring them to Vera. And at the end of the day, it's after validation, verification. There's a huge process that is done. And we take off the uncertainty deductions. We take off the buffer pool. There's a whole process. And at the end of the day, we get X carbon credits. Okay.
Yeah.
And those carbon credits are then sold on the market, in the voluntary carbon market.
Yeah.
And then we start breaking down the money and distributing it.
That's great.
That's really the way it works.
Really gives the farmers, it gives producers another crop, right? Like that's the reality. And you kind of just talked about it. So are all these farmers then using also the mycorrhizal fungi on their fields? Is that part of that program then? Like, hey, you might want to put this on. They have to be, or
they have to. Yeah, that's part of Rutella carbon, is you have to be using Rutella.
The product, yeah,
it's based on that, and you only use it on the treated fields. You don't use it on the control.
Sure. Yeah, and that's understandable. What about poor, like pretty marginal fields? Like, what are they seeing paid out to them then? I mean, just on average,
field. If you've got a crop, and you're using Rutella, you'll be sequestering carbon.
Sure. So that's just all based off tests then. Like, it's just how much
it's all based off the measurements. Yeah.
That's cool. No, I love it. And that's where you kind of talked about the durability of Rutella carbon too. You talked about that earlier and why it's a durable carbon and it stays there. So what about the guy that is a row cropper that uses furrow irrigation and tills the soil every year and goes back? He can be part of the program too, or are there certain stipulations?
So we started the program with only reduced till growers, mostly for business reasons. And that being said, ultimately, I think conventional farmers will also be able to benefit. I think, first of all, mycorrhizal inoculants are a great kickstart for the transition into regen ag in general. And for the carbon program, it doesn't really matter, because everything that's happening in the field, as far as we're concerned, is happening for that season.
Sure.
For that year between the measurements. And if you till every year and you re-inoculate every year, theoretically, you could get a very similar effect. But we first of all, we do want to encourage reduced tillage. We do want to encourage regen ag. We think it is a healthier way to go. And also we find that reduced tillage farmers very often are ineligible for carbon credits. They're ineligible for carbon credits because the common practice is reduced tillage in their area, or on their field if they've been doing it for more than 5 years. And so they're ineligible. They've been doing everything right for so long, and yet they can't enjoy carbon credits. And so for us, a very good initial market to start with is that market of otherwise ineligible farmers who can now introduce a new practice that is not considered a common practice as far as Vera is concerned, and can generate carbon credits on their field, even though otherwise they were ineligible.
Man, that's amazing. Yeah, no, that's a great program. And, if you're a producer, it's just another way to be able to glean a little bit off the field, right? It's an important thing, and it's a great program. You put that together.
It's not a little bit either. It's a significant revenue stream. I think. It's just starting out, because we're just issuing the first credits from 2023 now.
That's cool. What's it looking like per acre, if you don't mind me asking?
It's so I don't know if you know the numbers for in general, but usually within regen ag, if you can get about half a ton of CO2 equivalent per acre per year, that's considered pretty good. What we're looking at is between 1.5 to 3.5 tons per acre per year. So it's a lot higher. Now that's a big range. And so far, all of our measurements have been on the higher side of that range. But we also know that there will be worse years, and so we do anticipate being all over that range. But that's pretty much the range that we're seeing so far: 1.5 to 3.5 tons per acre.
That's wonderful. Just after applying it,
from what I said before, it's all about the amount of sugar that the plant is giving to the mycorrhizal fungi, and then the mycorrhizal fungi just turning around and making that carbon within the sugar more durable.
And that switch over from a conventional type of ag over into regen, it's tools like what you're selling, in that fungi. It's microbial inoculants. It's all these little tools that are out there that get you there a lot faster. And that's exactly what you're talking about. When you can build carbon that fast in the soil, it's going to be repaired at a lot quicker rate, and you're going to get onto your, onto business a lot faster. So soil-based carbon, okay, so specifically mineral-associated organic carbon, more durable than other carbon offsets.
Okay. It's more durable than your typical nature-based carbon removal technology. Okay, there are engineered carbon removal technologies that are considered more durable. So direct air capture, things like that. They're also a lot less scalable, and they're also a lot more expensive. A lot more. Okay, so you're looking at hundreds and hundreds of dollars per ton, whereas we're way below $100 per ton. The durability of mycorrhizal carbon, as I said before, is at least the mineral-associated organic carbon piece of it, which is most of it, about 70%.
Sure.
The durability of that is considered centuries to millennia, which is very high durability.
Yes.
Compared to, for instance, what you would find in a forestation project, or even in a typical regen ag project. And I say that because your typical regen ag project is mostly adding particulate organic carbon, which is simply not as stable for the most part as mineral associated organic carbon.
Gotcha. Okay. Gotcha. No, that's perfect. And I guess that's the thing, is at the end of the day, you look at it, the durability is really where it counts. We want it to stay there. We don't, you know what I mean? We don't want it to go right back off into the atmosphere. So that's a very important part of this.
That's why you can get a lot more per ton on a durable removal technology than you can on a less durable one. I mean, it's one of the main parameters that the buyers are looking for.
Moving past the sustainability to profitability, right? How do you convince a conventional corn or soy grower to change their protocol?
That's a good question. And the first thing I would say is that it's not really a change of protocol. It's not really a change of a cultivation method. It's not a practice change. You're adding powder or liquid in a very small amount to the tote that you use to treat seeds anyway. That's really, and you're doing this once a year. So in terms of the ease of use, and it took us a long time to get to the point where it was that simple. But we always knew that that's what we had to do in order to get off the ground, in order to scale this thing. Because your typical row crop farmer has no patience for anything less than something that fits right into his or her protocol.
Yep, 100%.
They're not going to change what their grandparents taught them. They're not going to change what doesn't fit in the balance sheet. They're not going to add more equipment unless something really major happens. They want simple. They want foolproof. They want easy.
Yeah, they want to integrate in what they're already doing. They want to add it to it. And that's kind of what we did when we started back in 2008 even, is we were integrating biological programs into conventional systems, not changing what they were doing.
Exactly.
Coming alongside them and saying, hey, let's cut this out. Let's look at this. Let's move things away, mostly inputs, and put more money back in your pocket. At the end of the day, that was the reality.
In sustainability in general, there are two schools of thought Okay,
Yeah.
there's the school of thought that says, the world is shit and we have to, let's redo the whole thing. Let's start from scratch, and let's not cooperate with anybody who isn't on board with the with sustainable development. And then there's the school of thought that says, well, we've got this world that's working in a very unsustainable way. Why don't we try to make it a little bit more sustainable and embrace the technologies that we can and try to bring them more toward a sustainable development approach. We're firmly in the latter school of thought. We're not going to say to a conventional farmer that that they have to change everything they're doing.
Yeah, they're not going to take away all the fertilizers. They're not going to do it overnight. It won't happen.
Of course not. It doesn't make sense. It's not going to work, and I don't think we need to do that at all. I think there's so many ways to take the so many amazing things and all these technical advances that we've had over the years, and to make them more sustainable, to make them more environmentally friendly. And this is one way of doing it, but you can't make it hard. You can't make it something that's not realistic.
You can't give them hurdles to jump. They don't want it. Yeah. Okay. I like it.
No, say, screw your hurdles. I don't need hurdles. Exactly. I have enough hurdles. Just getting the seed in the ground. Being a farmer is hard.
Yeah, it's very hard. I know. It's very tough.
You're going to add another hurdle?
I know. Yeah, 2 more passes through the field before they have to harvest. It's like, yeah, right. It's not going to happen.
It's got to fit. And that's why having the first mycorrhizal seed treatment in the world is really is what propelled us into the market.
Sure.
And making it cost effective, making it easy to apply, easy to use. That's what allowed us to grow so fast.
Yeah, that's what farmers want. Like you said, you guys you guys filled that niche. They needed certain things, and it's like, yeah, I'll add this to it. If it's a scoop here, a dribble there, whatever that looks like. Mm-hmm. But I'm not buying the new conveyor belts. I'm not buying all the extra stuff, the refrigerators to store biology in.
The first year or two, when we started working with seed treatment products,
mm-hmm.
they were a mess. I mean, we were trying them out. It wasn't like we launched it yet or anything, but the first few prototypes that we had, they were gumming up machines. It was not anywhere near what a farmer needed.
Yeah.
Okay. It took us years to perfect this. It's not an easy task because it's also not, if you look at the seed treatment market,
mm-hmm.
it's mostly chemicals. It's pesticides. It's, all kinds of, it's chemicals.
Yes.
And getting a molecule onto a seed is not nearly as difficult as getting an entire microbe onto a seed. Okay. It's a lot bigger. It has to live. It has to breathe.
Sure.
It's not that easy. And so it really took us a good few years to get that to work and to work well. And not to mention, we eventually got it into a liquid, which is even harder because it's an aerobic microbe.
Yep.
We got it to behave at high concentration in a liquid product, which is currently our best seller. Okay. That's our flagship product, Rotella L.
Rotella L. And that's the liquid. That's the liquid formulation. No, that's cool. And that's cool that you not only did that, but you also built that other side to the story, right? Like farmers want to put their land under, carbon credits. They can do that. So it's not just a product. Yes, you're going to sell product. And we know that, right? Because it does help with carbon sequestration and all that. But the thing is you're also giving them an avenue, whether it's to offset the cost of the product that they're purchasing. I mean, there's ways that they're getting paid back. And that's the way that producers look at it. So, that's great. And I think like what you said, it's not changing everything, right? Like you said, it's not changing the whole recipe. It's just adding a little and then we're good to go. And
You
that's
just
why
add
and that's the
something in the tote.
interesting. I'm sorry, go ahead. What were you going to say, Dan?
No, you just add a little something in the tote. 6
Yep.
grams or 6 milliliters per acre.
And you're done.
Yeah.
I like it. Let's talk a little bit about the future of global ag, the international perspective, because you guys are, GroundWork BioAG. It's in 17 plus countries, I think, right now.
23.
23 countries now.
Yep.
Congrats. No, that's amazing. Congrats. What are the differences between a farmer in Brazil, China, and the U.S. Midwest? What would you say the differences are?
I've been in a lot of industries in my career. I jumped around a few times before finding agriculture. And one thing I love about agriculture is the farmer mindset, the down to earth mentality, right? And I find that farmers in every different country in the world have a lot more in common than city folk in those same countries. Okay. If you go to someone in Manila and to someone in LA and talk to them, completely different mindset. But if you go out to Mindanao or you go out to Illinois and you talk to a farmer in each of those places, you're going to find a lot of the same characteristics. And it's just that I don't know. I don't even know how to put my finger on it, but it's that down to earth is the best way I can describe it. But it's these family values, I want to say materialistic, but it's not materialistic in the bad sense. It's respect for material, respect for the things that you're doing, respect for the machines that you have, for the seeds that you have, for the plants that you're growing. It's this thing that, it's something that is lost on a lot of city folk. And it really, I think, spans borders.
That's interesting. And that's interesting. It's all connected, so it's really that grit, right? It's the family grit. Like no matter what happens, we're going to do it again this year and again next year, and we'll still be there the next year. So no, that's cool.
You do it the first time when you're 16 and they say, all right, now I have another 50 times.
Exactly. That's exactly right. And that's what the hope is. Well, that's what the hope is, and that's one sad part is there's a lot of, family farms and things like that do close every year. Just because of the family, they don't want to stay around. The kids are like, yeah, I saw grandpa and dad do it. I'm good. Or they sell it off to developers or who knows what it looks like. But if you can start becoming profitable again, it gets fun, especially in the region side or what you're talking about carbon credits, like thinking of different ways to make money from your land. Don't just think that if you plant a row crop or a monocrop that you can only make money one way. There's multiple ways until you get your soil rebuilt, and then you're off to the races.
You're talking to someone who went the opposite direction, right? I mean, I started off in software AI.
Yeah, I was reading your bio.
That was the beginning of my career. But 2008, I made the switch. And since then, I haven't looked back.
What's the next big hurdle for GroundWork BioAG? Seed treatments, you guys have covered. So that's done. Liquid formulations, check. Right? Obviously, you have the powder, right? You have the
program, check.
Carbon program, check. What's next? AI driven soil mapping. What is it?
No, not AI driven soil mapping, but I think what's next on the agenda and where we're going to really need to shine in order to scale is we're going to need to be a lot better with strategic partnerships, a lot better working with some of the other larger companies out there in ag, finding more and more synergies with other products. These are things that have worked very well for us so far, but haven't been as much of a focus as I think they will now. And this could be on the carbon side, it could be on the ag side, it could be on the product side, it could be on the distribution side. There are many ways that this could manifest itself, but I think, now that we're a much bigger player than we used to be, I think what behooves us at this point is really to partner more and to go to different markets that we haven't really penetrated yet, stronger together with partners that are already in those markets.
Gotcha. Yeah. And it's tough finding people in these markets doing this stuff. We've been doing it for a while too, and it's starting to come around though. There's a lot of bigger ag distributors. And I mean, those are the guys that do have the reach, unfortunately. It's not the size of our company. I mean, they're bigger than us combined times 10 plus some, right? But those are the guys, they have a large reach as long as they know how to sell the products and move it out, right? Through their distribution. That's the biggest thing. And, it's good because the thing is on scale, people will hopefully start to utilize these things. That's the hope, as time goes on. What's your advice for the bio-curious farmer or the next generation of ag tech entrepreneurs?
Well, these are two different audiences, and I think my advice would be similar to both, though, and it would be try it out. I mean, you've got so much more to gain than you have to lose by trying out a new innovation, by looking for a new innovation, whether it's the grower or the entrepreneur. You can really benefit a lot, and there's so much out there. In terms of, I mean, it can be mind-boggling sometimes, but there's so much that we haven't found yet also. I mean, and this is more to the entrepreneurs, I would say. I mean, to the growers, it's, look at some of the products out there that aren't, that you wouldn't have thought of otherwise. To the entrepreneur, I say, you know what? Pick up a hand of dirt, and you've got more organisms in your hand than stars in the sky.
Yeah, literally.
Take it to a lab. Start looking at what's there, what's good, what's bad, what's needed, what's not. There's so much to find out there, and there's so many business opportunities. I think. I went into agriculture because I think it's a grand challenge. Okay, we need to produce as much food in the next 8,000 years as we did in the last 40,000 years. Okay, and we have to do that while we're polluting the soils, while we're changing the climate. This is no small feat. Okay, to feed the earth. And where there are grand challenges, there are grand opportunities, because that's where funding is going to go. Wherever you've got a huge challenge like this, so go for it, do it. Go out there, find the next GroundWork, find the next technology that will change the world. It's agriculture in general, and other places where you've got grand challenges, I think, so ripe for opportunity, and so full of innovations that can happen. It's not like apps on your phone where, all right, we've got most of what we need at this point on our phone.
Yep. And if not AI, I'll write the app for you, right?
Exactly.
It's over.
And I don't want to minimize that, because there's a lot to be done there still. But
yes,
but the chance that you're going to be the next multi-billionaire because you've created an app that shares pictures in a more effective way is very low. But the chance that you can become the next multi-billionaire because you've found a way to improve crop production is a lot higher.
Yes.
Go for it.
Odds are better.
Do it. And despite that fact, there's a lot less money going into agriculture than there is in apps.
It's wild,
Why?
isn't it?
You know, that's I think that'll change.
It will. It will, especially when people start getting hungry.
Yeah.
Right. I mean,
You gotta
mess
eat,
up
right?
you mess up the global food supply, and guess what? People get hungry. They start getting innovative. So let's we'll get to the end of this. Let you get going. What's your favorite crop to work with?
Well, on the one hand, my favorite crop to work with is corn because, I mean, it's just the most ubiquitous. There's so much going on in corn, and everybody's working on it, everybody's optimizing, and it's just amazing. On the other hand, I have to say, I have this habit of whenever I visit a field with that has been treated with Rutella, I taste whatever it is that they're growing. Whatever it is, anything that I even tasted cotton once. Okay, but I'll taste it because it's part of the thing. It's part of visiting the field is tasting that crop. And so I would have to say that the favorite time that I tasted was when I visited a habanero greenhouse.
Yeah,
that was treated with Rutella. I just picked a habanero off of the plant and just crunched it. Oh my God, was that hot?
Yeah, it was pretty warm though, huh? Gotcha.
Spicy.
Yeah, that's good. It's what it was supposed to be, right?
Yeah.
At least it didn't take all the spice out of it. Then we'd have problems, right? That's right. That's right. That's right.
Because you get a lot more nutrients in the fruit as well.
Which is nutrient density, correct?
Yeah.
At the end of the day. Which tastes all the better.
Yeah.
All right. Your biggest myth about biologicals.
This was a hard one. It took me some time to think about what the biggest myth is. I'd have to say that it has to do with what I said before, where everything where everything's done, and okay, there are biologicals and there are a bunch, and I don't think I'm going to be able to create a biological that's going to be the next big thing. I think you can. I think there are so many biologicals out there that haven't been discovered yet. That we're still very far. Very far from saturating this market, and I think that's the biggest myth.
That's fair. That's fair.
Yeah,
I like it. I like it, and it's true. It's true. I mean, because how many of the microbes do we really know at this point? Fungi. Like, let's go through it. Nothing. Exactly. I mean, there's stuff out there that's just sitting there, just like, hey, you haven't even found me in what I do.
Yeah,
you know, think about it.
What's easy.
Yeah,
right.
That's right.
Some of I don't want to bash anybody, so I won't go into what's easy. But there are a lot of products out there that are easy to produce.
Sure.
And that's what's flooding the market these days.
Yep.
Go a level higher, make it a little bit harder to produce, but a lot more effective, and you'll get into some really, really interesting territory.
A little bit more broad spectrum, would you say then, Dan?
Yeah.
As broad as you can get, huh?
When you're looking for stuff, yeah, go broad.
Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. All right, here we go. One thing people get wrong about soil.
Oh, people don't realize its importance. Its importance and how dire the situation is with soil. Our croplands have really been overly harvested, overly cultivated. I mean, and are aching, and are lacking life. And at the end of the day, soil is at the heart of our food systems. It's at the heart of our climate systems. And I don't think most people understand how influential that is in our lives, in our daily lives. And that every time they crunch an apple, they're depending on a healthy soil that produced that apple. And it's time we stop treating soil like dirt.
To the next level. When you say that, manufacturing and products go to the next level, start taking what you walk onto the next level. And we see that a lot as we go onto farms, take care of what you have. It's an investment, man. The soil's an investment. And if you take care of it, it's going to take care of you for years.
I think for the most part, growers do get it.
Yeah.
They do see the soil as their asset, but growers are not most of the population. They're not most people.
Yeah.
I think most people on Earth don't get it like the growers do.
Yeah.
And
that's fair.
And those social systems and those socioeconomic systems put a lot of pressure on the growers to sometimes, cut corners.
Sure.
When it comes to preserving their main asset, even if they realize that it's their main asset, even if they realize the importance, they still need to make a buck. They still need to feed their families.
Yep.
And so the pressure is huge, and that those two things shouldn't negate each other. They should work hand in hand. You should be able to be compensated for being the steward of your land, and not be penalized for being the steward of your land. And we need to somehow create socioeconomic systems that support that a lot more, support the idea of compensating growers for being stewards of their land.
And that's where nutrient density comes in, correct? I mean, I think that's one of the big entry. Yeah. I think that's one of the big entry points.
It's where carbon credits come in.
Yeah. Which all equates to nutrient density. It kind of all works in unison with one another.
Yeah, it's true.
You build carbon in the soil, you build healthier soils. Nutrition goes up as long as it's there.
Comes in also, I would say. It's doing things that are right for your soil, and yet also doing things that are right for your pocket.
Yep. Making sure that you can still, actually make money from farming and put more than what you have been in, for years, for decades at this point. Perfect. Give us your parting thought, if you would, on the legacy of soil health. Like, we're just getting into it. I've been doing, like, you got into it in 2008. That's when we started Rocky Mountain BioAG in 2008. Okay. And, you look at it where it's come to now. Now let's look at the rest of it. Like, where's it headed? The legacy of it. Is it going to be the new norm? What is it? I don't know.
I think we still don't know what the new norm is going to be. I think that new norm is going to include a lot of practices that are not practiced today. But we're not sure what they are. I don't know that the holistic view of regen ag is what is going to take or not, because it's hard. It's not as scalable as I would like on the one hand. On the other hand, conventional ag is not going in the direction of preserving that main asset that we're talking about, the soil. And so we're going to need something that takes a little bit of the good of each of these systems. Okay. A little bit of the efficiency and productivity of conventional ag with a little bit of the land stewardship and soil health that you get with regen ag, and somehow combining them into a new norm. I don't know what that's going to look like, because I don't see conventional and regen ag converging. But I do think that growers will pick and choose which practices they want to do from each school of thought, and then taking it from there.
Yeah. And I have to agree with you. I think that is going to be the legacy of it. Farmers will choose. And I think it's really going to start coming down to when we start talking nutrient density, right? If, farmer A's stuff is highly nutrient dense and farmers B stuff is not, it gets a little bit tricky, right? I mean,
Hmm.
farmer A is going to have all of his stuff sold out. Farmer B's not quite there. Well, it's going to be some competition. I feel like almost too like, hey, well, I'm going to plug this in now because, they have higher nutrient dense foods than we do here. And it's going to be
Yeah,
maybe hopefully a reverse race back to the top of who can grow the best food, right? Not just the
I hope
most,
so. I
but
certainly hope so. I
who
hope,
knows?
well, when I say being compensated for stewardship of the land, you should also be compensated for the nutrition of what you're producing,
Yeah.
and not just compensated for tonnage, but also for nutrient density.
And
Um,
carbon. I mean, like, let's
yeah,
be honest. Like, look, it's just more
yeah,
profit
yeah.
points. So, well, that's awesome. If you would let our audience know where they can find you, Dan, or what's the best way to find, GroundWork BioAg, whatever that may be. But yeah, if you
GroundWork
would.
BioAg is the company. Rutella is the product. We're online. Our website, groundworkbioag.com or rutella.com. Um, I'm Dan Grotsky. I'm available there as well. You can call, you can email. We try not to be hard to get.
Yeah, absolutely. Just
um,
busy
our
sometimes.
in the U.S., Andrew Duff is our
Yep.
country manager in the U.S., and he is also very available for anyone who we have a group of salespeople throughout the Midwest and also in Canada, who who can also take calls. The best way to go is through GroundWork BioAg itself. I also provided some links that I believe will be attached to this, and you can go through those as well. There's a link to a form there where you can leave your contact information. We'll certainly be in touch. Yeah, I mean that's. I
That's where they
hope
can get you.
that's easy enough.
Absolutely. They got you, I think. No, it's great. No, and we appreciate, Dan, your knowledge and your wisdom on, carbon
Thank you so
credits,
much.
on, even utilizing the Rotella, product in the soil, helping to bank more carbon, those types of things. You know, that's what our audience needs. They need the truth and they need to have other ways, and I just appreciate you definitely, like I said, for your wisdom, your knowledge, for you sharing with us what you know about the soil and
Likewise.
what you guys are doing as well. So I thank you for that. For the audience, if you would like this, subscribe, share it out if you would. That's for our YouTube audience. We're also on, you name it. It's Apple Podcasts, pretty much all the podcasts, you name it. iHeartRadio, I believe. You name it, it's out there. So take a look on that. If you find us, give us 5-star if you would, if you like this. But we're going to continuously share this kind of information like we got from Dan today, which is the co-founder and the chief growth officer of GroundWork BioAg. And so we just appreciate it again, Dan, and we look forward to talking to you again soon.
Thanks a lot, Brendan. This was a lot of fun. Thanks for putting it together.
Absolutely.
Good work.
Thank you. Appreciate you. You have a great day.
You too.